Good day, everyone. I am Ivan L. Laude, and I'm going to discuss the trace evidence and packaging guidelines and proper documentation of trace evidence. So, what is tracing evidence? These are pieces of evidence that are added to and removed from the scene. The term trace evidence is generally thought of as any type of evidence occurring in sizes so small that it can be transferred or exchanged between two surfaces without testing notice. Trace evidence is created when objects make contact and material is transferred. This type of evidence is usually not visible to the eye and requires specific tools and technique. So, let's start to know what is trace evidence documentation and packaging guidelines, and why is it important. The documentation and packaging of trace evidence are critical practices in forensic science, ensuring that small but significant materials are preserved, authenticated, and remain uncontaminated from the crime scene to the courtroom. This meticulous process safeguards the evidence integrity, facilitating its analysis and comparison, which can be the crucial for linking suspects to crimes. Trace evidence documentation and packaging guidelines. First is do not package evidence stained with bodily fluids or other liquids in plastic bags. Second is avoid altering the trace evidence in any way other than is necessary for evidence collection. Example is scraping paint from metal surface. The third is when possible, when storing evidence, use a freezer or a refrigerator that is dedicated to evidence storage to guard against potential biohazard, contamination, or explosion hazard. Next is do not cough, sneeze, talk, or scratch yourself over any sample being collected or to be collected. And the next one is when using tweezers or forceps, use only sufficient pinching force to collect items to prevent altering or damaging the trace evidence. And then, keep adhesive tape to be used in lifting evidence in a plastic bag until just before use to prevent contamination of the edges or side of the tape roll. Put unused portion of the tape roll back into the plastic bag when finished with tape lifting. The next one is do not place trace evidence directly into manila envelopes of any size, paper envelopes, or paper bags without placing the evidence into a similar leak-proof container such as glassine, bindle, canister, Teflon screw cap gas vial, or bottle jar as size dictates or other container. The next is keep clean acetate sheet protection free from contamination by storing in an appropriate size manila envelope or plastic resealable bag. The next is careful photography, documentation, and sketching are critical for the optimal use in interpretation, reconstruction of the evidence. The next is to reduce breakage and loss of evidence, secure glass container such as vials, bottles, and jars in cushioned metal friction lids can with lids. Cushioning material may be balled up paper towels. And then lastly, using a swab to collect a trace evidence sample, whether light liquid, powder, gel, or other form of matter evidence for control is a last resort. These are the equipments needed for tracing evidence. The first one is the paper or manila envelopes and the paper bags. Next, the 4-inch or 6-inch glassine way paper for paper bindles or self-made envelopes. And the next one is the 2.5 to 4-inch wide clean adhesive tape. The next, the clear acetate sheet protection or clear secondary liners, non-silicone or silicone coated one side. Next, the tweezers or forceps with different tips. Next, the 1 quart and 1 gallon metal friction lids cans with fitting lids, clean, empty paint cans. The next one is the glass jars, bottles, and vials with Teflon-lined screw cap lids or other appropriate airtight inert lid. Next is the glass pasture, the pipettes with rubber bulb or all-in-one plastic transfer pipettes. Next is the transparent tape, the cotton tape swabs, the swab drying boxes, or other sterile swab storage containers. Next is the distilled water, and then the cutting tools such as the knife, scalpel, single-edged razor blade, drywall saw, carpet knife, or box cutter, and then the waterproof pen, evidence tape, and the powder-free protective gloves, and then lastly, the face protection. These are the proper documentation of trace evidence. Ensure that the portion of the object with the stain or other trace evidence has been photographed and documented in notes and sketches. So when photographing the object, first is we must include a scale and an identification level. Second is photograph with and without scale. And the third is to take one or more location photographs that show where the object was found in relation to other objects in the crime scene. And then lastly, show the relationship of the object to other evidence in the photograph. So, that is the end of my discussion. Thank you everyone for listening and have a good day and God bless us all.